This is Talk for Food. Your portal into quantum possibility.
I spent about 25 years of my life working towards increasing fuel efficiency. I've tried everything under the sun. I mean, they got wires you hook up onto your O2 sensors. They call them FEs. They got HHO splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen, dumping that in your engine. And, sometimes you'll get a gain for a tank or two, but it usually winds up coming back off when the computer adjusts to it. Well, with this, it's exactly the opposite. I found a way to, a shape actually. It's just a very, very special shape that is carved into the intake airstream that causes a resonance. It has to be put in a certain place. It has to be at a certain angle. It has to be a certain shape. But when you get those dynamics correct, and it's simple enough to duplicate once you understand the dynamics, then it causes a change in the resonance within the intake manifold. And there's waves to everything. There's vibration everywhere around us. And when you amplify what the engine's already doing and can create what we're creating, it runs better when you take the load off of it. And that's what it seems to do, increasing fuel efficiency by amplifying the pressure wave inside the engine.
Well, in so doing, it is actually getting greater utilization of the fuel that's already there.
Yeah, exactly. We're not leaning the engine out at all. What we're doing is most of your fuel currently leaves the engine, still in fuel state. It hasn't been burned.
Unburned, yes.
Unburned, and that's the purpose of the catalytic converter, to catch those raw fuel particles and to cause them to wait long enough. And the catalytic converter is a blockage in the system. And it has to be a blockage to catch the heavier particles. Then it heats up because the exhaust is burning all the way back to the catalytic converter, and it slows down the fuel so it burns there rather than being exited into the engine, causing acid rain.
But the metaphor for this, though, in terms of the catalytic converter, is that is literally sweeping the inefficiencies of the engine under the carpet and making it apparent that they're not there.
Yes, it's actually, it eliminates a lot of the inadequacies that have gone into the engineering of the engines.
I say it masks them. It makes it appear like that's my point is that whether it was by intention or not, the engines, that's right. The engines are let's not say that they're inherently inefficient, but there are levels of proficiency much higher that are available for our existing engines, our existing motors. And then what the catalytic converters do is just simply make it appear that the gas, so essentially they're burning a hell of a lot more. No, they are not burning gas, but the catalytic converter burns it afterward and makes it appear as though this got done.
Yeah, exactly. See, they've changed our fuel chemistry starting back in the 70s with our energy crisis. The fuel chemistries were changed they give us. They made it harder and harder to burn the fuel, and then they keep bragging about higher efficiency. But what they're doing is they're slowing down the combustion process by changing the fuels. They just reduce the power by adding heavier molecules. Well, those heavy molecules don't have time to burn inside the engine because they have to absorb so many BTUs. Well, now they're raising the temperatures of the engines and they're getting the efficiency up, but there's two factors that affect your fuel vaporization. It has to be in vapor state before it can burn. So if it's got to mix with the oxygen, it's got to be in vapor state. Well, let's use the vacuum that the engine's already creating and amplify that rather than try to elevate the temperatures. It's that simple.
Well, the one thing here is that if we made no claims of power, if we made no claims of fuel economy, you put that aside. We have taken emissions and had a profound reduction in emissions.
Oh, tremendous. Well, yes, I'd say so. From almost 4,000 parts per million hydrocarbons down to, what is it?
Zero?
Is it zero?
There was a zero. I saw, nothing.
Yeah. Zero hydrocarbons, zero carbon monoxide, zero oxides of nitrogen, and I've done it hundreds of times.
Now, would this is it enhanced by the catalytic converter, or does the catalytic converter in essence become superfluous?
No, the catalytic converter is actually a vital piece of equipment as far as I'm concerned. It is possible to render it just no longer needed. All right, it's just a vestigial piece of equipment. Once you get the fuel efficiency up to maximum, and what maximum to me is like 100 miles to the gallon, then there's nothing coming out of the engine. You're using all the fuel inside the engine. That's the goal.
So there's some other tweaks that you know of that can be done?
Yes.
All Right. Well, we're going to keep it at that. We're going to keep it to ourselves until we get those. But the wonderful thing is that you're not simply talking about it. You say it, you demonstrate it, and then we tested it. We showed the before, and we showed the after. And the after confirms what you said all along.
Is your engine happier?
Yeah. I mean, you can feel it. It's as smooth as can be. It revs easier. For the amount of pressure that I give, it seems inclined to go faster. So, and that's just on a few minutes of driving, but clearly I see it.
Yeah, with less pedal.
That's what I mean. Yeah, absolutely.
Less pedal, faster speeds, engines. Just it's really. It is amazing because most people want to believe in others, right? They want to believe in our leaders and our corporations. And I want to believe in them too, but the plain fact is I can't. Because knowing what I know about this means that if out of every $4, $3 of that is leaving your engine without giving you any benefit, in fact, it's a detraction from the power you could receive. If 75% of your money is going out your tailpipe, and I can prove it, right? I proved it right here. Don't they know better? I mean, if I can do this in my driveway with Dremel, right? Do you think Detroit, with all of their millions and millions and millions of acres of research facilities and the thousands and thousands of people that are up there studying this stuff every day, do you think that they couldn't do it? Come on. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy just like you and just like thousands of people out there. They're just trying different things until they find something that works. God just smiled on me.
Well, I appreciate you doing it as someone who's out the box, and we know what that means in the sense of you need to, well, Einstein said it, you can't solve a problem thinking from the level that the problem was created from.
Yeah, the thing that created the problem is not the thing that will solve the problem.
That's exactly right. So you got to look at it from a different way, and when all of the their accolades and their degrees and their credentials are all based on being able to just say what has been, then there's nothing innovative that's going to be happening. I really like the idea of driving Lex here and getting 500 miles of range versus the 300 that I get now, okay, on a tank of gas. I mean, the brand new cars are talking, well, we can get 500 miles. Okay, fine. But look at all the people out there who aren't ready or able to buy a new car, and yet they could be getting a tremendous amount of additional mileage on what they've got.
And it's not just cars. Any gasoline engine, they all have the same part in there that I work on, the throttle body, right? You saw that. So I cut a groove in the throttle body at the throttle plate. Because of the aerodynamics present there, the groove is allowed to work. It's allowed to function. I can do the same thing on any gasoline engine. Anybody can, and I want to teach people because it's easy to do. It's easy to do.
Well, the website is?
Oh, it's gadgetmangroove.com.
Well, Ron, we're going to talk more. We're going to work some more things out. But the fact is, it is gratifying to know that we can make a significant change in fuel consumption, efficiency. Oh, you were talking about how, like oil, for the use of the oil. Someone had the oil in for 10,000 miles because the engine is running cooler, more efficient.
Yes, I've heard. I keep getting reports like that back. That instead of changing the oil at 3,000 miles, when they go to take a look at it, it's not black. It's honey brown, and it stays that way vastly longer. I'm not going to say don't change your oil, guys. You do what you want to do, but I don't change it if it doesn't need to be changed. Why should I? Spending more money, it's wasting, it goes into the environment, and our Earth has got to deal with that. Well, why should we use it? We don't have to. But yeah, so the engine temperature drops, the exhaust manifold temperatures are dropping by a minimum of 200 degrees because the engine is consuming the fuel there instead of exiting out the engine. So it's less temperature on your engine is a good thing. And if we're able to do that, your engine is going to last vastly longer. Wait till my spark plugs come out.
Yes. Okay. You heard it here first. All right, then. Ron Haddon, it's a pleasure meeting you. And we'll talk more. Thanks a lot now. Okay, bye-bye. Let's say bye-bye.
It has been really a pleasure for me to meet people who care about life and the way we do things and are taking active steps. They're just individuals who have or who are following a hunch or an intuition or an insight. They have an understanding that may not be mainstream, but they are willing to follow up with that understanding and to demonstrate its efficacy. Here I have come across and met Ron Hatton, Gadget Man, and for a show that I call for Talk for Food, where we journey into realms of quantum possibility, looking for the small thing, the small change that's going to make such a major difference in things. The groove is certainly it. What it is and what Ron Hatton has done is followed an intuition, an insight into how air is processed inside an automobile, an internal combustion engine. And he has found that he is able to, by making a specific type of trough in the intake, on the throttle body of an automobile, he literally can increase the amount of oxygen that's available by using something that's familiar to listeners to my show, a vortex. In this case, actually a double vortex is caused or created by a modification he makes to the throttle body, which affects not the fuel, but the air intake. It potentizes the air tremendously, and in so doing, it affects the air-fuel ratio, basically increasing, making more air available for the given amount of fuel, and it basically allows for more efficient burning of fuel. Now, what it does mean is that there is a tremendous, a profound reduction in the amount of emissions that the car puts out. We're not making any claims about fuel economy or fuel mileage and the changes, because from one car to the next it can be different. However, if there is a major reduction in emissions that are coming out the pipe, it means that a tremendous amount of additional fuel is now being consumed or combusted through the proper channel. The catalytic converter is the great big sweeper, if you know what I mean. But at any rate, my car is running wonderful. It's smoother, it's running cooler, and it is now in the hot season here in Arizona, and my car is running cooler. I haven't gone through a tank of gas yet, so I don't know what the difference is, but I know there is an improvement. If you have any questions or comments, this is all the time we have. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for me, you know to reach me at adam@talkforfood.com. And check us out next week as we come back with something else from outside the box and beyond the curve, when Talk for Food returns with Adam Abraham here on webtalkradio.net. Be well and see you next week. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next week.